So I'm Christine. I am working at Vimeo as an analytics director, but I've always been really passionate about helping other people break into the tech industry so that they can better elevate their lives and have a career that's really fulfilling. So I'm currently based in New York, and over the last few months, I've been working on developing an analytics bootcamp to help people who want to gain the skills and the business intuition for how they can build a career in data science. When I was starting this idea of building a boot camp, I think the biggest challenge for me was just that I didn't know how to bring the product to the people that I wanted to reach. I actually had thought that it would take a really long time to build the audience that I needed to be able to sell the course, where like I have always heard about conversion rates typically being really low when you don't have an audience, you don't have authority in the marketplace, and people just don't really know you. I didn't already have like a business, but I had the idea and I knew that it was going to be difficult for someone who is, I have technical expertise, but I don't have expertise in marketing and sales and like go-to-market strategies or anything like that. I knew that that was going to be a really draining part of the process. And I just wanted to know, like, what is the most direct and effective way to get there instead of like trudging through everything, where after a certain point, I knew that there was like a right way to do those steps. And so it was more so the desire to learn what those right steps are. A is the reason why this was even possible. I think the biggest thing was, one, it gave me a structure for just the steps that I needed to do to get what I was building to the right people. And for me, like getting what I am building to the people who it directly impacts and can make a positive influence on, that's what gives me a lot of energy and makes me really excited to keep going. And so without AA, to be able to have those right steps, I don't know how long it would have taken. Like it actually might have taken more than a year. But for me, it ended up taking less than 2 months. And it was just like the most unexpected return on my investment in terms of the time and in terms of the energy and the clarity that I had every day when I was working on building the program and getting it out. So I think, to be really tangible, like the biggest thing was the ICAs for me, where even just figuring out that process of reaching out to these like ideal clients and finding exactly what language they use to describe their predicament, their obstacles, like the kinds of things that they wanted to overcome and how they wanted to feel. That framework was the system that basically enabled to even get me here as quickly as I got here. So yeah, for me, the biggest thing I think was actually in the beginning stages of just like, how do you find these people? How do you get to the bottom of what they need from you? And how do you speak their language in a way that positions you as an authority, even when you don't have an audience to begin with? For me, the results came very quickly. Just like to give some context into the timeline, I started doing free workshops on data analytics at the end of March. At that point, I realized that there was like a business idea here. And so I signed up for AA a few days later in like the first week of April. Throughout April, like the way that I started reaching out to people and using my ICAs to garner more of an audience, I had hundreds of people come to those free workshops from no audience before. It really just came like from a few Reddit posts. So I had a few workshops where I had almost 400 people sign up, and then 200 people actually came. And then I did one webinar, as Sunny suggested, talking about the offering that I was building, the bootcamp. It was just a 30-minute session, and I structured it using the language that I had gotten out of my ICAs. And then within the 5 days after that webinar, I had made $35,000 in cash, like in revenue. And so that to me was a really big surprise, because I work in tech, I make a pretty high income already, but that happening in 5 days is already 3 times my monthly salary as someone who's worked in tech for 8 years. Financially, obviously, it had a really direct and tangible impact. But I think also outside of that, the results of the ICAs have been that I have a lot of clarity on exactly what people need. And so as I'm building the bootcamp, I have a lot of confidence that what I'm building is actually what people need, as opposed to if I didn't have that path. I probably would have built it totally differently and then just hoped that it landed correctly. So at the end of the day, it also saved me so much time, and it enabled me to reach this goal that I've had in the back of my mind for many, many years. It helped me bring it to life in like less than 2 months. So for people who are thinking about investing in AA, I would say like if you have an idea and you're confident in the idea, or you want more support in getting clarity and confidence in the idea, but then you also want like just the most direct path to getting that idea to the people who need it, this is that path. The results are very obvious. I think the reason why I also joined AA is because I saw so many people who were passionate about what they wanted to do, but they wanted to just get it out into the world and not necessarily take a very winding path to learn all the other marketing and sales strategies. And this is pretty much the answer key for how you can do that. And also for me, like I made that investment back in the AA program in basically a month and a half. And so the steps are very clear. The results are also very clear. And so, yeah, if someone has an idea and they feel ready to take that jump, then the AA is basically what's going to get them there.